I had the craziest dream that we were getting a brand new Fantasy Life game. My wife and I were on the couch watching the Nintendo Direct, loving all of the stuff that had been revealed up to that point. And when Fantasy Life came across the screen, wait a minute. That did happen. Good morning, brave adventurers, and welcome back to The Quest. I am Amalgam Ash, and today I want to talk about Fantasy Life I, specifically what I really think the new game it has to have, as well as a few things that I would really like to see myself. The people have spoken, literally. You guys love Fantasy Life, it looks like as much as I do, and so it's going to be a great thing to talk about. So here are 5 things that we absolutely have to see in the new Fantasy Life game. Number 1. Good localization. I'm not kidding. When Fantasy Life hit Western shores in 2014, developed by Level 5 and published by Square Enix, we saw the level of quality in the dialogue that we came to expect from games published by Square Enix. Localization isn't just about literally translating everything. It's about making sure that the personalities of the characters and the nuances come through to the new language. And if you can't achieve that one-to-one, then you can compensate in some cases by rewriting the character through their dialogue. The perfect example that I can give of this is Butterfly from Fantasy Life. Butterfly has a lot of charm and a lot of sass throughout the story, and it's very likely that a lot of the dialogue that Butterfly has is not the same dialogue exactly as she had in the Japanese version. I say that we need to see this for Fantasy Life I because the charm of Fantasy Life really shone through, and it was something I think a lot of people appreciated, even if they didn't necessarily know it. By contrast, Fantasy Life Online had not the greatest localization. Now, mobile games don't have a great track record of having great localizations to begin with. They all kind of suffer from the same problems. Fantasy Life Online definitely had some punctuation issues and some grammar issues. It was not a very professional English translation. And as for personalities, charm, sass, and the like, there was none. It was almost completely absent from the title. The most we could see of any character's personality was reflected in their simple animations as they were emoting off to the sides. And those were really nice. But it wasn't the same as having careful attention to the dialogue, and this is a valid concern of mine, particularly because there are certain changes made to the developer and the publisher. We don't have a game being developed by Level 5 and published by Square Enix with Fantasy Life I. Now, we have almost the same case as Fantasy Life Online, where the game is being developed by a subsidiary of Level 5. That's Level 5 Concept, and is actually being published by Level 5. Because it's a subsidiary handling the property, I really hope that there is a lot of creative stewardship being given by the parent company for this title as opposed to the mobile game, because if not, then the subsidiary can do whatever they want with the property, as long as they have the financial backing and support of the parent company. And we do see Glenn from Fantasy Life Online, and we do see Laura in her Fantasy Life Online outfit. So I've got other concerns, but I'll address them a little later. Number 2, we need multiplayer, and we need multiplayer to be handled as well as it was handled in Fantasy Life. I actually don't have a problem with the multiplayer in Fantasy Life Online, so let's talk about both. Fantasy Life had a few different ways you could interact with other people, one of which was Street Pass. Now, in the 1 in 10 million chance you actually had your copy of Fantasy Life in your 3DS and your system closed but turned on, and you passed somebody else who had the exact same game in their system also turned on, ready to accept Street Passes, you would open your system later to find a surprise. My wife and I tried this a few times, and it was always really cool. We'd play the game, close the systems, put them near each other, wait for them to communicate, then open them back up. And lo and behold, I would see my wife's character in my game. Now, there wasn't a whole lot you could do with the character that you Street Pass with, and I might be remiss remembering what all you can do. Were they able to join your party? For some reason, I don't think so. But her character was in Castell, just hanging around, and you could approach the character, and you could check out kind of course, who they were created by or where they came from. And I think you might have even been able to see stats or things like that, but I'm not remembering because it's been a long time, and she was the only person I could ever Street Pass with. But besides the Street Pass aspect, which was pretty cool because it kind of gave me a reminiscence of town building, if nothing else, they had local and online multiplayer, and you could form parties of up to 3 people. And if you go into your host's world, you can help them complete quests by defeating strong monsters or gathering things. Now, every time you defeated a monster or needed to gather some loot or open a chest, everybody saw their own instance version of that loot. So there was no shortage of loot. Nobody had to roll on a piece of gear or anything like that. You just got the stuff. If you did have to distribute items, because bounties were one example where only one player would get that loot, but they would get up to as many players there were of that loot, then you could distribute items by using the drop box that was in the guild office. You could just go up to the box, drop whatever stuff in there that you'd like your multiplayer friends to take back out, and then they would approach it and take the items out, and or give you something in exchange. And you were never forced to stick together. Your multiplayer friends could go out into the world of Riveria and do whatever they wanted. And they could even complete life quests while they were out there. If they needed to go farm a specific number of enemies for their life quests, then they could do that and it would count. Of course, you can't turn in that quest until you've gotten out of multiplayer so that you can visit your life master. And there are other caveats to multiplayer as well, such as time being frozen, so certain enemies don't appear unless it's a specific time of day. And you can't complete the quests that are offered by NPCs or complete any of the main story quests. But all of that is perfectly understandable, especially when you consider that the main story quest in Fantasy Life is not a very difficult thing to begin with. You can literally complete it as a crafting class. Fantasy Life Online's multiplayer, I actually didn't have a problem with at all. It was fine. It was a typical sort of MMO style of multiplayer where you would go into the thing that you wanted to do, such as that month's special raid dungeon or what have you. And as long as other people were queuing for the same thing, you would be matched as a party and you would be deposited into that dungeon with your new party of strangers. We call that pugging in the MMO world, or PUG, playing with unknown groups. And it can be very handy if you really need to get something that's in that set of rewards for whatever it is that you're doing, whether that's fighting a boss or going through a very challenging raid. But this leads me into point number 3, and that is a focus on an offline single-player campaign. You see, while I think it's perfectly good and fine to play MMORPGs with other people and be matched and go run dungeons, I don't want to have to do that if I don't want to. Final Fantasy XIV does this perfectly. They allow you now, as opposed to earlier, before last year, to have NPCs as other people in your party. Final Fantasy XI actually does the same thing. If you don't want to wait around forever to be matched with a party that's looking for a DPS, because, for example, everybody might be playing DPS that day, and a party has to have a healer, a tank, and 2 DPS, then you can just pull in your trust. And the trust system allows pre-built AI-driven NPCs to join your party temporarily and complete the dungeon with you. And that's a really nice feature if you don't want to play with unknowns, especially if that particular raid or dungeon offers unique rewards that you can't get unless you complete it. So as long as they don't make you do things as they did in Fantasy Life Online in order to be able to obtain higher tier weapons with other people, it's fine. But even if they do that, I think it's fine, as long as they don't require you to party up with other people to complete the main story quest. Now, given that this is a console release and not a mobile game, which I'm kind of unfairly comparing it to, just for the purposes of illustration though, I don't think that they will do that, and I think we're going to see both a great multiplayer and a great single-player campaign. So, we'll move on to number 4, thing that we need for Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, and that is, please have a similar structure to Fantasy Life as opposed to Fantasy Life Online. Again, it's just more espousing how I want the game to be more close to its roots rather than the most recent incarnation. And the only reason I bring up the most recent incarnation is because of the visual cues that we get from the Fantasy Life I trailer. Again, we do see Glenn from Fantasy Life Online. We do see Laura specifically in clothes that she only wears in Fantasy Life Online. So hopefully it's just a case of the team taking those high quality assets, which are beautiful, by the way, and I have no problem with them doing whatsoever, and translating them into a more Fantasy Life-like format. And I think that that would be awesome. We do see notable differences between Fantasy Life I and Fantasy Life, namely the terraforming. Now, I'm in the Facebook groups, I've seen the comments. This game is nothing like Animal Crossing. I don't even know why that needs to be. I guess I understand it because the style can be kind of taken as similar. People see the aesthetic. It's very innocent. It's very cute. And they see the terraforming. They see the character placing down a cube and picking up a cube of grass and dirt. And sure, that's a thing that Animal Crossing did in its most recent game, yes. But short of completing fetch quests and being able to fish and gather bugs, there's nothing else that possibly links Fantasy Life with Animal Crossing. They're both really good games, don't get me wrong. There are people that love one game over the other. They might not like either game or both. That's fine too. There's no gatekeeping here. There is only acceptance. But the games are very, very different. You're not going to scratch the same itch playing one over the other. You're not going to face the same challenges. You're not going to quite get the same reward. There is a ton of questing, combat. There is just a ton of fundamental RPG in Fantasy Life. And Animal Crossing is a lot more laid back. It's a lot more collect this, give, collect, give. A little bit of design. That said, I'm really looking forward to this strange new terraforming town building aspect with Fantasy Life I, and I hope that we get the entirety of the rest of the experience that we've come to expect from Fantasy Life in addition to this. I hope that this is just a new thing being added to the experience rather than the focus of it with everything else on the back burner. You know what I mean? If it is, then this is going to be great. And the fifth thing that I think we need for Fantasy Life I is good PR. What? Yes, we need really good PR. We need good advertising. We need good social media management. We need good representation of what this game actually is, because there are a lot of folks who missed out on that 2014 Fantasy Life. There's a lot of folks who will never be able to play it because they don't have the means to get a Nintendo 3DS. I mean, you could probably get a secondhand 3DS and find Fantasy Life on eBay or something relatively easily. It's there right now. But that's beside the point. Those games are only getting older, whereas soon enough you're going to be able to buy Fantasy Life at your local game store. That's a nice thing to say. I like being able to say that. That's really nice. Bottom line is, we want the game to do really well, and we want it to do really well so that we get more Fantasy Life stuff. Maybe future games. I would love, and I know you would love too, to see a port of the 3DS game on the Switch. We've been asking for that for years in the Facebook groups. Come on. Literally years. And beyond games, maybe we could even see some awesome merch. Who would not want a statue of the Snapdragon or a Nendoroid of Uelia? You can't tell me you wouldn't think that that would be perfect on your shelf. And that's 5 things that I think we absolutely need to see in Fantasy Life I. But wait, there's more. As a bonus, I want to tell you 5 things really quick that I would personally love to see in Fantasy Life I. I'd like to see more lives. I actually don't want them to stray too far from the 12 life system. When the goddess came to Riveria, she said, "Let there be 12 lives, and people shall be fulfilled, and there will be community." And that's canon. There's 12 lives, and that's fine if that's all there is. But, some of us have seen those images on Facebook leaked from hacked versions of the ROM, I think, of the game, where there seems to be an implication that there could have been more lives during the planning process of Fantasy Life. Specifically, I've seen musical inferences. Could there have been a bard life? While I'm not saying change the formula, and in fact, I would love if the formula were the exact same, one thing that I wouldn't object to seeing is more lives. And I think it would be a ton of fun to have some sort of extension of Riveria. The goddess came to Riveria and said, 12 lives. But what about the lands beyond Riveria? What if there are other regions where they have to rely on other professions for their community? I think a bard would be an awesome life to play as in Fantasy Life. And I can imagine a whole host of other lives as well. You could just bring in whatever class from whatever game you want at this point and just imagine it in a Fantasy Life context, and I think it'd be great. An engineer, somebody who builds things, robotic or mechanical. Shar had the wonderful idea of an artist. So an artist would have different types of paint and would use paint brushes of different qualities and types, made by the carpenter, of course, or perhaps even the alchemist, to create crafts of art. And there could be many NPCs who ask for different things, different paintings, different moods. And you could travel throughout the lands, gaining inspiration from different scenic views over rolling valleys and expansive forests. I think an artist class and a bard class would be excellent addition as lives to Fantasy Life, but I would play absolutely any life they wanted to add. If that was druid, artificer, I mean, anything would be fine. And also, if you play Fantasy Life for the 3DS and talk to certain NPCs, you'll notice that they actually have lives attributed to them that are beyond those initial 12. Olivia, for example, is a pirate. She's leading the pirate life. So that does kind of mean that there are lives beyond what the goddess of Reveria wanted to bestow upon the Reverians. I'd like to see even more customization. I mean, why not? There's already a crap ton of customization and great representation in Fantasy Life's character creator system. I mean, it's got 5 body types. 5. You can choose somebody who's very short and rotund, or you could choose very tall and lanky. There's just a huge variety there, and there's a ton of skin color, eye color, and different hairstyles to go along with it. It actually has really good customization. I wouldn't disparage them at all if they didn't add to that, but they could always add more. Vitiligo options. I think I would personally like to see more eyes. Number 3, I want to see more collaborations. Fantasy Life Online did have one great thing going for it, and that was collaborations with other IP. They did a collaboration with Yokai Watch, and for a little while you could see that there were yokai in Reveria. You could get yokai-themed weapons off of the enemies, and you could fight yokai raid bosses with your friends. This particular collaboration doesn't excite me anywhere near as another collaboration, notably the Fantasy Life Online and Final Fantasy XIV collaboration. This one was huge for me. In this short reveal video, you can see Fantasy Life characters dressed in Final Fantasy XIV gear, and I can just not imagine anything more awesome or perfect. You could even fight like Bahamut as a raid boss, but it was just the Snapdragon model with a Bahamut texture skin applied to it. And that's just an awesome concept in and of itself. And getting Final Fantasy XIV weapons in Fantasy Life, that was also really, really cool. So on the flip side of that, it would be really awesome if they did have a reason to collaborate with Final Fantasy XIV again, and if this time Final Fantasy XIV would actually participate in the collaboration. Final Fantasy XIV collaborated with Yokai Watch some time ago, actually twice, and as of the time of this video, and you can actually get yokai, not just minions, but also mounts, yokai-themed mounts and weapons in Final Fantasy XIV during those collaboration events. If they collaborated with Fantasy Life, then I could see you getting like a Snapdragon minion or even a mount, which would be amazing. And there's a whole ton of other stuff they could do. I mean, the sky is the limit for collaborations like that, but I play both games, and I would love to get items from the games in the other game. Number 4, I would just like to see more of the same. I would just like to see what I have come to know and love just expanded upon, and given optional little nods and mechanics that we can delve into if we want. The main story of Fantasy Life doesn't take that long to complete at all, and you can complete it as any class. You can be a cook the entire time. It doesn't challenge you to grind out your levels. It just is a good gameplay experience. There's plenty of areas that you can't go into unless you do kind of grind or train different life classes and skills. But to complete the main story, you just need to move forward. There are occasional battles, but you can do those. You can hit the enemies on the head with your frying pan, or your dagger. I mean, with the weapons that you can equip as any life. That's what you can do. And you can buy real estate and decorate your houses. The game was really ahead of its time. Really, really ahead of its time. We're not seeing anything new except for the terraforming in this new game, and possibly town building. But what keeps people coming back to Fantasy Life and being able to sink 300 hours, and yes, there are a lot of people who sank a ton of time into that game. Just go look at the comments in the last video and you'll see all the love and support that it got, is how easy it is to pick up and play and then leave right off. How immersive it is because all of the characters who ask you to go on the quests have such personalities, and how all of those quests are very simple. Just go out and defeat the thing, gather the thing, or craft the thing, and then come back. They're not chained into multiple NPCs, which actually would be a lot of fun in some instances. They're not overly complex at all. They're just go do the thing. And while you're doing the thing, it is extremely easy to have gathered 5, 10, up to 30 quests altogether, and be passing by a shop while you're on your way to go to your guild master so you can change into your cook class and remember, oh yeah, I needed to buy yellow amethyst because there's this one quest where I need to turn in yellow amethyst to this kid so that I can complete his quest. So you go to the shop and you figure, I'll just buy some yellow amethyst real quick, and you do that, and then you see that they're selling tuna. So there's not a shop in the game that sells tuna and yellow amethyst. This is just an illustrative example, okay? Just calm down. And you remember, oh yeah, I need tuna because there's an ingredient for one of my life quests it'll help me make a dish that'll complete that quest. So I'm gonna grab this tuna while I'm here. And then you're like, oh, I'm short on dosh and they've got better gloves than what I've got on, like objectively better. So I'm gonna go run out and grab some dosh real quick. I'll just fight some enemies and pick up some stuff to sell. And so you go do that, but you run by somebody who's got a quest marker over their head that didn't have one before because the quest unlocked after you completed another quest out in the world. And when you talk to them, they're like, go get me 5 Castellian apples. And you're like, well, there's an apple tree just on the outside of town, so I'll go. It just goes on like that. And so it's easy to sink all kinds of time into, but the game also scales very reasonably in difficulty. I say reasonably, and then I pause because I know that there are parts that are extremely challenging, but they are so late game, and they are so, hey, you've made it this far, why not go grind a little bit, and then you can come right back and try this challenge out, or maybe bring some friends. The creators really somehow knew how to put together a game that was so immersive that it was just easy to get lost in and have nothing but fun being totally lost and running around and doing quests. And the last thing that I would like to see, number 5, is I want to see Riveria. I missed seeing Riveria in the trailer for Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. I really want to see our lands, our place of origin in this game. If not, and if this is a completely new IP, that's totally fine, and I'm really happy to support it and play it and enjoy it as much as possible. But I hope the game does well so that then we do see Riveria in a port of Fantasy Life to the Switch. That's what I would really, really love to see. And I would be, just like so many others, glad to start from scratch and sink another 300 hours into this game. All right, that's 5 things we need to see and 5 things that I'd love to see. What are some things that you absolutely have to see? What are some things that you would absolutely love to see in Fantasy Life I? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your fears? If you liked this video and you want to see more Fantasy Life content, please consider giving the video a like so that it goes out to other viewers like you and is suggested to them to watch. I would love if all Fantasy Life fans could be aware of all of the stuff going on right now, because we really love the game, and we definitely deserved all of the joy that we felt when we saw the reveal. And if you'd like to see more content like this on the channel, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments, because those are other ways to get me aware of the amount of Fantasy Life that should be around in these parts, as well as helping other people become aware of the channel. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye for now.